Part 38. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 371. Yang Tian thought about it again and thought it was impossible. It's not that Yang Tian looks down on them and thinks they are not strong enough. On the contrary, they are very strong, not only on the national server battle list, but also in the top 30. Among them, Xiaoyu is even in the top 10. The 3 anonymous people on the level list are not on the battle list. It can be seen that the Xiaoyu 3 are not those 3 anonymous people. When Xiaoyu and others saw Yang Tian, they were pleasantly surprised. Xiaoyu wanted to say hello, but when they remembered that everyone was in the deep sea at the moment, they quickly shut up. Immediately, the 3 of them looked at each other, ignored Yang Tian, and changed directions. Hey, that's not the case, is it? We all know each other. Even if we haven't seen each other for more than half a year, there's no need to pretend that we don't know each other, right? Yang Tian was confused and hurriedly posted a question mark on the public channel. Xiaoyu is indeed a talkative person. When he saw Yang Tian taking the initiative to chat, he quickly clicked on the public channel and said, "Brother Shui, it's been a long time, but now is not the time to talk nonsense, someone is chasing us." "Who?" Yang Tian asked, using the eye of truth to scan Xiaoyu Lan Yangziying one by one, and found that the 3 of them were all level 115. "Zeus," Xiaoyu said. Yang Tian was startled, then he came up with a plan and said, "Follow me, and I will lead you to a comeback." "Are you so awesome?" Xiaoyu and the others obviously didn't believe it, but they still stopped. There was no way, Zeus had too many powerful men, and they wouldn't be able to escape for long. Although he had some doubts about Yang Tian's abilities, he could only act like a dead horse at the moment. At this moment, a group of figures came from behind. It was God's left hand and others. A few hours ago, God's left hand formed a large group of 501 people to come to this deep sea ruins, but now less than half of them are left. Those people all suffocated to death, and each lost 1 level. This was the price of opening up Wasteland. Later, in a certain ancient city, the evil shadow stole their treasure chest, which made them chase them all the way. Damn it, they caught up so quickly. Xiaoyu pressed the word to show his anxiety, and at the same time gave Yang Tian a rippling smile. He didn't want to implicate Yang Tian, which was why he didn't even say hello before. "It's all your fault for trying so hard on yourself. Now that the matter has come to this, there's nothing I can do about it." "Don't panic," Yang Tian said calmly. When he saw God's left hand and others attacking, he immediately used the resurrection grass to resurrect the snake and summoned it. After being defeated twice in a row, Soaring Snake is now only level 116, but it is still powerful. As soon as the Soaring Snake came out, it roared, and its huge body stirred in the sea water, trying its best to release its violent aura. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that deep water pressure has no effect on it at all. As expected of him, he managed to get such a fierce battle pet. Xiaoyu and the others sighed when they found out that Soaring Snake was an imperial beast, feeling both envy and admiration for Yang Tian. God's left hand and others were also startled, and hurriedly stopped their forward momentum. "That boy is so lucky. First he is the Thunder Skeleton King, and then he is the Emperor Beast Soaring Snake." God's left hand secretly hated him. No matter what, the Emperor Beast level battle pet or servant is a powerful combat power at the moment. Of course, it was as powerful as God's left hand, and he would not take it lightly against ordinary imperial beasts. Unfortunately, this is the deep sea. Due to the influence of water pressure, his attack speed, movement speed, and damage are all reduced by 30%. But that Soaring Snake is not afraid of water pressure. If he attacked by force, he would be sure to destroy Soaring Snake, but he would also suffer considerable losses. Not only that, war pets are different from war servants. War servants are NPCs and have only 1 life, and they die when they die. War pets can be resurrected indefinitely using resurrection grass. So what if he kills Soaring Snake? Yang Tian will naturally resurrect it again. Because of this, God's left hand held back and kept people in a stalemate. Let's go separately. No matter what old and new grudges you have with Zeus, at the moment, God's left hand definitely wants to kill me more than you. Yang Tian and Xiaoao formed a team and said in the team channel. Xiaoao instantly understood. At that moment, both Yang Tian and God left hand were trying to reach level 120. Both sides were targeting each other, both wanting to kill each other and make the other party lose their level, so that they could be the first to reach level 120. Compared with such major events, the grudge between them and Zeus can only be regarded as a trivial matter. Brother Shui, it was unreasonable for us to be demoted. It would be a real sin if we harmed you. Xiaoao apologized and quickly said. It doesn't matter, I'm sure to escape, and I still have a chance to turn defeat into victory, Yang Tian said. Seeing that Yang Tian was so confident, Xiaoao and the others stopped talking. The two sides split up and Yang Tian rode Tang Snake towards the ancient city ruins. 38. Don't worry about those idiots in Xiaoao. Kill Muddy Waters first and let me chase you. God's left hand clicked on the team channel to command, leading the people to pursue Yang Tian. After a while, Yang Tian, God Zhou, and others came to the ancient city one after another. Ha, Muddy Waters, you are just asking for your own death. You still had a chance to compete with me, but your hero is short of breath and your kindness as a woman fell in vain because of your ridiculous loyalty. God's left hand laughed wildly and said, the so-called if you make one mistake, you will lose everything. After this time, you will never be my opponent again. God's left hand showed an arrogant look. In the ancient city, he would not be affected by the pressure of the deep sea, and he would not pay attention to a mere snake. Moreover, they have a large number of people here, and they are all powerful men who are first class like Zeus. There is almost no suspense in destroying Yang Tian. Is it? Yang Tian sneered, took back the soaring snake, turned around and ran, and activated the bloodline skill oil on the solace of the feet to increase movement speed. Not only that, Yang Tian has the title Super Adventurer, and his movement speed doubles when he is not in combat. You can't escape. The god's left hand waved and led people to chase. There were more than 200 people in total, of which about 50 could keep up with Yang Tian's pace, although not as fast as Yang Tian, and they were not left behind. It was obvious that these people were the core strongmen of Zeus. Yang Tian has the title of Super Adventurer, and they also have it. As for the rest, they obviously couldn't keep up with the pace and were left behind. Chase him, wait for his acceleration skill to cool down, he will definitely die. God's left hand laughed grimly. He was level 119, Yang Tian was level 118, and his upgrade speed was faster than him. He had always regarded Yang Tian as a big worry, and now there was such a good opportunity to kill Yang Tian and make Yang Tian drop a level, he certainly would not miss it. Soon, Yang Tian saw the Yaksha mansion, but it had been destroyed by Yaksha Jim and turned into a ruin. And in the ruins, there was a 3-color treasure chest, which looked extremely dazzling. Yasha Jim sat on the 3-color treasure chest with a big horse and a golden sword. Spiritual beast? Spirit level treasure chest, God's left hand and others were all stunned, and then their scalps tingled. They were of course happy and excited to find the spiritual level treasure chest, because their chief assassin God's Apple had extremely advanced lock-picking skills and could completely open the spiritual level treasure chest. But the fact that the spiritual level treasure chest was guarded by a spirit beast made them feel cold in their hearts. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 372. Yaksha Jim found Yang Tian and God's left hand and others, and immediately flashed over, grinning at Yang Tian, and, I didn't expect you to dare to call for help. Stupid donkey, do you really think I'm afraid of you? Yang Tian sneered and deliberately agreed. Yang Tian's attitude immediately shocked God's left hand and others. Damn, we are the reinforcements you called. What a joke, we have been chasing you all the way here, okay. At this point, of course they knew that they had fallen into Yang Tian's scheme of borrowing a knife to kill someone, and they hated it in their hearts. Just when they wanted to quibble, Yang Tian took the opportunity to transform into a ghost assassin and sneaked into invisibility. At this time, Yakshajim naturally swept his ferocious eyes towards them, making them speechless and numb in their hearts. How despicable! No wonder he is so confident. It turns out he had planned it all along. Zeus's masters immediately cursed Yang Tian's ancestors in their hearts. Suddenly, Yakshajim waved his sickle and ran towards them, causing them to retreat while cursing. The spirit beast was too powerful, and the players were no match before they gathered their spirits. If there were 1,000,000 troops, they could fight, but they were so few, they didn't dare to fight at all, and could only flee in all directions. Yakshajim naturally chased and killed all the way. After a while, there was no one else around Yang Tian, and seeing that Yakshajim had also disappeared, he couldn't help but think of the 3-color treasure chest. Xia Ying, I found a 3-color treasure chest here, you guys come quickly, Yang Tian said in the team channel. Okay. Xia Ying quickly typed, and the coordinates of teammates could be determined through the team channel. He and Xiao Lanyan looked at each other and rushed over. A few minutes later, Yang Tian heard a system prompt. System, your Deep Sea Ruins ticket is about to expire, 59 seconds remaining. Yang Tian frowned, thinking that time was passing too fast, but there was nothing he could do. He could only continue to contact his teammates and said, my ticket is about to expire, and the treasure chest can only be handed over to you. I will withdraw first. Brother Shui, don't worry. We will leave immediately after opening the treasure chest. When the time comes, Brother Shui will take the lion's share of the treasure chest. Xiao clicked the key, indicating that Yang Tian should rest assured. Yang Tian nodded and teleported away. He came to the vicious swamp again, while he was busy killing monsters, waiting for good news from Xiao and others. After a while, Xiao and the other two finally arrived at the ancient city, and quickly rushed to the Yaksha ruins and found the tricolor treasure chest. Wow, Brother Shui is really the chosen one, and he is so lucky. It is a tricolor treasure chest. Xiao and the other two's eyes lit up. You know, the 3-color treasure chest can open up to spiritual weapons and spiritual bloodline, which is so precious. Moreover, this is a map of about level 120. If a spiritual weapon is opened, it must be a spiritual weapon of about level 120. How powerful it will be. Xia Ying squatted down and counted down to unlock. As an assassin and one of the passers-by, his unlocking skills are quite advanced. He can open the 3-color treasure chest, but the chance is not high. After several consecutive failures, Xia Ying was not discouraged and continued to unlock it. After all, it was a 3-color treasure chest, and even with the most advanced unlocking skills, the success rate would not be very high. Fortunately, the treasure chest is here and will not run away, and the boss guarding the treasure chest is also missing. Xia Ying and others seem very relieved. At this time, Xia Ying felt a sudden pain in the back of his head, and his body stood up uncontrollably and fell into a dizzy state. At the same time, someone appeared behind him. Backstab. 160-0320. After the man knocked out Xia Ying with a club, he directly backstabbed her and took her away. Xia Ying didn't react until she died. After all, the other party was sneaking up on him, and the attack was too fast and decisive. Apple, you are so insidious, I surrender. Xiao immediately drew his sword and stared at the man with cold eyes, furious. That man was Zeus's chief assassin, God's Apple. He was wearing a tight nightgown, a standard assassin's outfit. He was tall and slender, with a handsome face, especially with a hint of mocking smile on his lips. It must be said that he really has the capital to charm thousands of girls. God's Apple and Shinayu are both top assassins in the national service, and their strength is quite strong. The two are equally strong, and there is no obvious difference between them. It's just that God's Apple is better at finding opportunities to sneak attack, has a deep mind, and is very patient, which makes people more afraid. It's the same for everyone, God's Apple sneered. Xiaoao and his three companions traveled the world with swords. Because they were weak, they often resorted to any means to fight against those guilds. They were known for their meanness. They had previously stolen the treasure chest from Zeus. Yang Tian was also insidious. He killed Zeus with a borrowed knife, which made Zeus embarrassed and suffered heavy losses. We are all birds of a feather. You admire my insidiousness, but I can't bear it, God's Apple said in his heart. Where are Zhuoshao and the others? Xiaoao looked around cautiously. Seeing that there were no other Zeus people except God's Apple, he couldn't help but ask. Xiaoao, who was once one of the core members of Zeus and now withdrew, did not have any respect for the former president. After all, Zeus hurt his heart and made him miss the title of God's right hand. At that time, he competed with the current God's right hand for the title of vice president, and he won. However, the top management felt that he was impulsive and irritable, and was not suitable for the position of vice president, so he suppressed him. In a fit of anger, he paid a large amount of liquidated damages and withdrew from Zeus. Don't mention it. Muddy Waters did a good thing. That borrowed knife to kill someone is really true. Although they have different ideologies, they are former comrades after all. Although they are hostile to each other, they can still talk. God's Apple briefly recounted what happened before and said with a smile, "Hee, I knew that Muddy Waters would ask you to open the tricolor treasure chest. When he was stealthily invisible, I also hid secretly. I really waited for you three fools. So, now you are the only one? Do you think you can survive under me and Lan Yan?" Xiaoao said coldly. "It's a bit difficult." God's Apple smiled and said, "But Xieying is dead, you can't open the treasure chest anymore. Moreover, the president and others have already shaken off the boss and rushed back. I just want to ask you if you are afraid." "You are lying. Since it is a spirit beast, it is good enough for Zhuoshao and others to save their lives." "How can they shake off the spirit beast?" Xiaoao stared at God's Apple. He knew that this person was very cunning and naturally could not be easily deceived. Hearing this, God's Apple spread his hands and said with a smile, "Believe it or not, even if the spirit beasts come, you will still die, right? Anyway, you can't open the treasure chest, so just run away quickly." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 373. Even if I want to escape, I have to kill you first. Xiaoao sneered and called Lan Yan, and the two of them rushed towards the God's Apple together. The final chapter of Magic Dance. I saw Lan Yan gently stroking the strings and flicking out towards the God's Apple, and immediately hit a semi-circular light wave speeding towards the latter. The final chapter of Magic Dance is a forced range control, but Apple predicts it in advance and activates the instant solution of firm wool. Afterwards, he sprouted fighting wings on his back and flew into the sky. Seeing this, Xiaoao Lanyan activated his fighting spirit wings at the same time and chased out. The three of them were all purple full-level fighting wings, with the same additional movement speed, while Apple was an assassin, and his basic agility was higher. After a while, they were on par with Xiaoao. The people distanced themselves slightly. "Lan Yan, don't waste your skills, kill him first," Xiaoao shouted. Lan Yan nodded and decisively started the super concert, which increased the attributes of herself and Xiaoao by 30%. After adding the buff, Xiao Lanyan's speed suddenly increased. Xiao caught up with Apple first, and swept out the giant sword to knock out half of Apple's health. Not only that, Apple suffered a blow and felt that his body was stiff and a little unwilling to listen. Handle. This is, such a strong stiffness. Apple was startled. Rigor makes a person's body stiff and unable to move. It is a bit like control, but not control. Because the duration of catalepsy is only 0.1 seconds, the effect is too weak compared to control of at least 1 second. But in a battle between strong men, the slightest difference often determines success or failure. Chop. I saw Xiao attacking Apple decisively and without even giving him a chance to breathe. Even if God's apple is killed, the death of evil shadow cannot be undone, and the three-color treasure chest will definitely not be opened. Xiao Lanyan sighed secretly, and they both exited the deep-sea ruins. Apple's body was lying on the ground. He did not choose to return to the city, but called his teammates over. However, after waiting for a long time, Yashijim came first. He smiled bitterly in his heart, knowing that no one could open the three-color treasure box. President, the boss is back first, so you don't have to come to rescue me. If I lose one level, just drop one level. Apple contacted Godzo and said. Well, you have done a good job. At least the three-color treasure box did not fall into the hands of Muddy Waters and the others. God's left hand seemed to be in a good mood and praised it. When Yang Tian was sneaking, Ping Ping also took advantage of the chaos to hide. Later, Ping Ping saw Yang Tian exiting the deep-sea ruins with his own eyes. He didn't know that each ticket had a different time limit, nor did he know that Yang Tian's ticket was only valid for 2 hours, but he knew that Yang Tian had already withdrawn from the deep-sea ruins, which was an undeniable fact. Now, he is at level 119 and is only one step away from level 120 spirit gathering. Speaking of which, in terms of upgrade resources alone, the deep sea may not be better than the island, but the deep sea is a brand new map after all. As a pioneer, God's left hand believes that he has the strength to kill some of the world's imperial beasts for the first time, thereby obtaining generous experience rewards. He is now determined that he will rise to the top of the world and reach level 120. Haha, what a twists and turns, Muddy Waters, you are finished. God's left hand laughed wildly in his heart, and gathered his men again to start the journey. On the other side, there are 41 islands in the Sea of Ruins. After some contact, Yang Tian knew that it was a pity that Xiao and others failed. It would be bad if the ticket for God's left hand is limited to 12 hours. Yang Tian mused secretly. The deep sea ruins are a new map after all, and God's left hand can definitely get the first kills of several world emperor beasts. The first kill experience is so rich, and God's left hand is already level 119. It is estimated that with a few more first kills, he can reach level 120. Looks like I'm going to take a risk too. Yang Tian sighed secretly. Although the deep sea ruins is a new map, apart from the 41 islands in the sea, it is also a new map that has not been opened up by anyone. There are also world emperor beasts that have not been killed first. You can also quickly upgrade by going up to the sky to get the first kill. The deep sea ruins run through levels 80 to 180, and they are all new maps that have not yet been developed. God's left hand does not need to take risks, he only needs to go to the low-level ancient city to get the first kill. Yang Tian didn't have a ticket and couldn't go to the deep sea ruins, so he had to take risks and go to the high-end island to get the first kill. Apart from Island 41, including Island 41, there are world maps above level 120. Not only are the bosses there powerful, but even the mobs are powerful enough to kill Yang Tian instantly. But the matter has come to this, Yang Tian has no other choice. The first is the boss of these 41 islands. Yang Tian left the poisonous swamp and went to the center of the island to look for the boss. The previous Gila monster was just the king beast of the world. Although it was also a boss, Yang Tian also gained a lot of first kill experience after taking the first kill, but it was only equivalent to him killing monsters in the Gila monster swamp for an hour. The first kill of the abyssal sea dragon was equivalent to spending a day in the poisonous swamp killing monsters. It can be seen that the first kill of the World King Beast is much more experience than the first kill of the World King Beast. The island is very big, and the boss is usually in the center of the island, but it may be in any corner of the island. Finding the boss depends entirely on luck. Of course, God's left hand also needs luck to find the boss in the deep sea ruins. Yang Tian sent out Cretan Snake and a team of Black Knights to hunt for the boss. Of course, he transformed into a vampire count, put on a bone shield and huddled in mid-air obscenely. About half an hour later, Yang Tian went through a wave of experience and finally found the boss. This 41st island seems to be a lizard island, even the boss is a lizard, but the boss is standing upright with 2 feet on the ground. It is more than 10 meters tall, with dragon horns on its head and hard dragon scales all over its body. Dragon Lizard, World Royal Beast. Level 130. HP, 300 million. Basic physical attack, 2 million. Non-attribute attack. Skills, Earth Wall, Ground Spikes, Ground Explosion, Dragon Breath. Passive, Earthquake, TP Ground Spike. Dwarf, Vampire, Arrogant Guy, actually broke into the territory of this emperor. The dragon lizard roared and stomped on the ground, causing a powerful earthquake that affected a radius of 10 yards. Carrie, who was below, lost 1 million blood instantly, but 1 million damage was not much for him. It's just a royal beast. Do you know that I have the blood of the Spirit King? Carrie sneered, swung the heavy hammer and rushed up, fighting with the huge dragon lizard. Yang Tian summoned a small demon to possess Carrie at the same time, so that all the hatred of the dragon lizard was imposed on Carrie, thus ensuring his own safety. Although Carrie has the blood of the Spirit King, he is only level 118 now, and his blood has not yet awakened. He is only a level 118 World Emperor, and the dragon lizard is much stronger than him. After several waves of battles, Carrie lost blood quickly. Yang Tian quickly released the darkness coming, the dark sea of fire, to weaken the dark resistance of the dragon lizard, so that Carrie's dark attribute damage skyrocketed. Summon skeleton warriors. Corpse explosion. Yang Tian then summoned more than 1,000 skeletons, which exploded with a loud bang, and then the damage deepened, knocking off 1/3 of the dragon lizard's blood volume in one wave, about 100 million. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 374. At that time, Yang Tian used corpse explosion and damage aggravation to kill the abyss sea dragon in 1 second, but that was inside the belly of the sea dragon, which was almost real damage. Under normal circumstances, it would definitely not be able to kill the sea dragon in 1 second. Moreover, the abyss sea dragon is only a level 120 World Emperor beast, while the dragon lizard is a level 130 World Emperor beast, and the latter is obviously stronger. Yang Tian was not disappointed, and it was already very good to kill 100 million health of the dragon lizard in one wave. Summon steel cannon carts. Yang Tian waved his hand and summoned a group of steel cannon carts around the dragon lizard. The steel cannon carts fired gravity cannons to weaken the attack and movement speed of the dragon lizard, reducing the output of the dragon lizard. After a few seconds, through the special effects of the heart of the godly tree, Yang Tian's blue volume, which was originally depleted, was restored by several percent. Summon skeleton mage. Summon skeleton archer. Yang Tian summoned 1,000 undead again, located in the rear battlefield, and concentrated on attacking the dragon lizard in the center. The damage of a single undead is not high, only about 10,000 per second, but when the number accumulates, the damage is very terrible, causing the dragon lizard's blood volume to drop rapidly. After a while, the dragon lizard lost tens of millions of blood, and half of its blood bar was black. The dragon lizard was still attacking. Although it attacked Carrie, it could cause an earthquake by stomping its feet. When its blood volume dropped to half, it killed all the steel artillery vehicles. Ground spikes. Suddenly, the dragon lizard summoned a large area of ground spikes, breaking the surface and causing a large-scale attack. Just one wave killed a large number of skeletons. Carry's attributes in all aspects are not as good as the dragon lizard. If he fights alone without reinforcements, he is not the opponent of the dragon lizard at all. At this time, as his own combat power decreased, his original advantage was instantly leveled by the dragon lizard. After a fierce battle, the lives of both sides were consumed to less than 100 million. In terms of combat power and defense, Carry is not as good as the dragon lizard. The lives of both sides are the same, but the dragon lizard actually has an overwhelming advantage. Bone Shield. Seeing this, Yang Tian quickly put a bone shield on Carry, and at this time, the bone shield on his body naturally disappeared. Because of the absolute hatred of the little devil, as long as Carry exists, he is not in danger, so he naturally prioritizes saving Carry. Now his bone shield has a life thickness of tens of millions. If he blesses the bone shield himself, he can't withstand the attack of the dragon lizard. Because his defense, protection, and resistance are too low. And Carry's defense is very strong. The dragon lizard can only cause millions of damage to him per second, and the bone shield on him is very solid. By the heart of the god tree, Yang Tian recovers 10% of his mana per second, so even if his undead summoning consumes a lot of mana, it will recover every few seconds, and the continuous summoning of undead will consume the dragon lizard. Skeleton Mage, Skeleton Archer, these two teams of long-range undead are all destroyed, and their summoning skills fall into a countdown cooldown of up to 5 minutes. Afterwards, Yang Tian summons melee undead. In terms of combat power, melee undead is higher than long-range undead, not lower. Unfortunately, melee undead must be in close combat to deal damage, so they can be easily killed by the earthquake of the dragon lizard. Because of this, Yang Tian's summoning of melee undead could not cause continuous output to the dragon lizard at all, and only had a short-term consumption effect. Soon half a minute passed, and the bone shield on Carry's body had been broken, and now there were less than 20 million lives left. The dragon lizard still had nearly 30 million lives. Huge disadvantage. Fortunately, at this time, Yang Tian's corpse explosion and damage deepening were cooled down again. After a wave of combos, he finally took away the remaining blood dragon lizard. Yang Tian and Carry formed a team to share the experience of the dragon lizard, and only Yang Tian got the extra experience reward for the first kill of the dragon lizard. The extra experience of the first kill was extremely rich. Yang Tian's experience bar rose sharply to 85% of level 118. If he got another World Emperor Beast first kill, he would definitely be able to upgrade to level 119. Brother, it was too dangerous just now. I thought I would die here, Carry said with a guilty conscience. Yang Tian didn't want to die, because once he died, he would be one step further away from the gathering of spirits. Carry didn't want to die even more, because if he died, he would really die. Sorry, Carry, although it is very dangerous, we still have to find some powerful guys to challenge, Yang Tian said. It's okay, I listen to you, Carry nodded seriously. Well, if it really comes to a desperate situation, I will hold the boss, and you will find a chance to escape. Yang Tian gave instructions and cleaned up the spoils with Carry Tengshi. After repairing, when Carry recovered his peak condition, Yang Tian led the team to set off again to Island 42 and Island 43. Half a day later, Yang Tian took down 3 World Emperor Beasts and 5 World King Beasts in a row. With a flash of white light on his body, he finally reached level 120. System, congratulations on your upgrade. Strength, physical strength, intelligence, spirit, agility add 30 points. System, congratulations on reaching level 120. After testing, you have the blood of the Goblin Spirit Beast. Now the blood is awakened, physical strength add 300,000, strength, spirit, intelligence add 30,000. Gain the ability to fly in the air, breathe freely in water, and ignore water pressure. System, congratulations on obtaining the title of Spirit King. System, your summon skeleton warrior skill is enhanced. System, your summon skeleton mage skill is enhanced. System, your summon skeleton archer skill is enhanced. System, your summon zombie skill is enhanced. System, your dark sea of fire skill is enhanced. System, your ghost hand skill is enhanced. System, your bone wall skill is enhanced. As Yang Tian reached level 120, a series of system prompts rang in his ears, and Yang Tian also felt that he had a strange power. With a thought, he flew into the air without transforming into a vampire lord. Spirit King, title the only passive. When you are at level 120, you will not lose level when you die, but your current experience will be cleared to 0. When you are at level 121 or above, you will lose level normally when you die. Yang Tian glanced at the Spirit King title he had just obtained and put it on directly. From then on, no matter how he died, he would not drop below level 120. Of course, the same is true for other players with the Spirit King title. In other words, the lower limit of the Spirit King is level 120, and it will never drop down again. After a player becomes a Spirit King, some skills will be strengthened. Note that it is some skills, not all skills. The only skills that Yang Tian has strengthened are the summoning skills, as well as the 3 skills of Dark Sea of Fire, Ghost Hand, and Bone Wall. Yang Tian observed the skill tree and found that the icons of the enhanced skills all had an extra spirit star to distinguish them. Summon Skeleton Warriors, LV 52 1 up to 520 skeleton warriors can be summoned to assist in combat. Skeleton warriors can exist for up to 5 minutes. The skill has a cooldown of 1 minute. 2. Summon 1 skeleton warrior, Spirit Beast, to assist in combat. It can exist for up to 5 minutes. Note, this effect conflicts with the same type. Summon Skeleton Mage, LV 51 up to 500 Skeleton Mage can be summoned to assist in combat. Skeleton Mage can exist for up to 5 minutes. The skill has a cooldown of 1 minute. 2. Summon 1 Skeleton Mage, Spirit Beast, to assist in combat. It can exist for up to 5 minutes. Note, this effect conflicts with the same type. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 375. All of Yang Tian's summoning skills have been strengthened, and there is an additional way to summon spirit beasts. But this method conflicts with the same kind. That is to say, Yang Tian can summon a spirit beast undead, no matter what kind of undead it is, but only one can be summoned. In addition, Yang Tian's undead have also been strengthened. Before, he summoned a level 119 skeleton warrior, which was only an elite. Now he summons a level 120 skeleton warrior, which is a leader. This kind of strengthening is not a little bit. Of course, this kind of strengthening is not brought by Yang Tian's promotion to the Spirit King, but the setting of Taixu itself. The weakest monsters after level 120 are all leaders. Ordinary undead such as skeleton warriors, skeleton mages, skeleton archers, etc. are all level 120 leaders. Powerful undead such as the Black Knight, the Vampire Count, the Nether Assassin, and the Hell Three-Headed Dog are now level 120 king beasts. Now, Yang Tian has been promoted to level 120 to gather spirits, and all aspects have been strengthened by more than one level. In addition to the summoning skills, the 3 skills of Dark Sea of Fire, Ghost Hand, and Bone Wall have also been strengthened. Take the Dark Sea of Fire for example. It used to have only one surface, but now it has a flame height, which is more than a little higher, equal to the diameter of the Sea of Fire. The previous plain Sea of Fire is now a cylindrical fire area, and it can be cast in the air, of course the percentage damage remains unchanged. The same is true for Ghost Hands and Bone Walls. After being strengthened, they can be cast in the air. In general, after being promoted to the Spirit King, the strengthened skills are not to strengthen the skill damage or skill effects, they just make some skills that cannot be cast in the air strengthened to be cast in the air. Only the Necromancer received another sun treatment, he can summon a spirit level undead. Muddy Waters, ID. Occupation, Overlord of the Undead. Warzone, China. Empire, Dragon Empire. Bloodline, Goblin Spirit Bloodline. Level 120. Spirit King talent, when not in combat, automatically restores 3% of HP and mana per second. Heart of the Divine Tree talent, restores 10% of mana per second. HP, 5.2 million. MP, 3.6 million. Asterisk Magic Attack, 620,000. Asterisk Dark Power 9,800. Asterisk Absolute Critical Hit, 2.5 times critical damage. After taking many first kills, Yang Tian also got a lot of level 120 gold equipment and gems, and then made a major update to the equipment. For a while, his attributes skyrocketed, but the critical damage dropped from the original 5 times to 2.5 times. This version of critical damage conflicts. Yang Tian's original 5 times critical damage mainly comes from the set effect of the 5 elements set, and a single piece of gold equipment is naturally not as good as the Imperial set. But Yang Tian didn't care. Gold equipment was just a transitional item for him. Sooner or later, he would get a set of royal equipment, and then the attributes would naturally soar again. After the player is promoted to Spirit King, physical strength add 300,000, strength, intelligence and spirit add 30,000. The main thing is the increase in HP, which is increased by 3 million at a time. Strength represents basic physical attack, plus 30,000. Intelligence represents basic magic attack, plus 30,000. Spirit represents MP, plus 300,000. As for agility, there is no additional increase. In general, when the player is promoted to Spirit King, although the attributes are greatly enhanced, it is still far inferior to the NPC Spirit King or the Spirit Beast. After all, the player is still a player, and the improvement of strength mainly depends on equipment. When Yang Tian reached level 120, he instantly occupied the first place in the national server level list. Yang Tian glanced at the level list and found that the god's left hand was still only level 119, and couldn't help but smile slightly. Get familiar with it first, and then go to fight Zeus. Yang Tian seemed very confident, because at this stage of the Spirit King, the Necromancer was very strong. Not to mention that God's left hand did not gather spirits, even if he did, what would happen? The 45th island of the Sea of Ruins has urban civilization, not a pure wilderness. The environment in the city is bad, and the air is full of poisonous gas. If people are not resistant to poison, they will be poisoned instantly. However, Yang Tian has the poisonous lizard king orb, and Carrie also has the giant poisonous lizard orb. Both of them have very high poison resistance, enough to be immune to poisonous gas. On the streets of the gloomy city, 2 kinds of monsters can be seen everywhere. One is a giant virus that has materialized, and the other is a pale nurse girl. Giant virus, world boss. Level 125. HP, 16 million. Basic magic attack, 180,000. Non-attribute attack. Skill, poison. Passive, vicious poison. Bad blood nurse, world lord. Level 130. HP, 60 million. Basic magic attack, 800,000. Skill, injection, flying needle. Passive, vicious poison. Giant virus is about the size of a wash basin, with only a black face and black poison gas around it. They are suspended in the air at a height of one person. Except for their pale faces, Bad Blood Nurse generally maintains the appearance of human girls. They all ride on a huge syringe, also suspended in the air at a height of one person. Yang Tian puts on a bone shield, transforms into a netherworld assassin, and rushes into the monster group with Carrie. After the equipment is updated, Yang Tian's defense and protection have been greatly improved, and he is immune to toxicity below LV50. Giant virus and Bad Blood Nurse can't cause much damage to him at all. In addition, he has a bone shield, so he is even more fearless. Cut the throat. Stab. Spin and stab. Swish, swish, swish. Yang Tian wielded a dagger and attacked the monsters crazily, instantly killing a large virus and crippling a group of Bad Blood Nurses. Carrie was even more ferocious, wielding Bart's hammer, killing one in a second. The two of them worked together and quickly wiped out the large viruses and Bad Blood Nurses in an area. Yang Tian is already level 120, so he doesn't need to level up for the time being. Carrie is level 119, just one step away from the level of the spirit. Yang Tian teamed up with Carrie and adjusted the experience distribution method, 1% for Muddy Water, 99% for Carrie, so that Carrie could reach level 120 spirit faster. After cleaning up the spoils, Yang Tian and Carrie immediately came to another block, where there were also many large viruses and Bad Blood Nurses. Yang Tian waved his hand to summon an army of more than 1,000 skeleton warriors and killed them. Skeleton Warrior, Leader. Level 120. HP, 3 million. Basic Physical Attack, 80,000. Dark Attribute Attack. Asterisk Dark Power 13,000. Armor Penetration 4,800. Asterisk Absolute Critical Hit, 2.5 times critical damage. Skills, Charge, Heavy Hit, Shield Hit, Block, Continuous Slash, War Cry, Thrust. Today's Skeleton Warrior is already a level 120 leader, and all attributes have been upgraded to a higher level. Especially life and defense, at least not so fragile. Under the blessing of Yang Tian's attributes, the Skeleton Warrior army seemed extremely fierce and swept all the way. After a while, the giant virus and Bad Blood Nurses in the area all died, and a large number of items exploded. After a few hours, Yang Tian was familiar with all the undead under his command and was quite satisfied. Needless to say, the Skeleton Warriors, especially the powerful undead such as the Black Knight and the Vampire Count, are now all level 120 King Beast undead. Although the number of summons is not large, the combat power is quite terrible. Next is the spirit level undead. Let me see how strong they are. After Yang Tian counted down, he summoned an extremely powerful skeleton warrior. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 376. The skeletal warrior of the Soul King is wearing blue armor, with the same color of spirit fire burning all over his body. He is holding a broadsword and a tough shield. 2 balls of pure soul fire are coming out of his deep-set eyes, making him appear mighty and extraordinary. Whether it is the Soul King Skeleton Warrior, the Soul King Black Knight, etc., they all have similar attributes. After all, they are all at the Soul King level. However, due to differences in skills and characteristics, their combat power is also slightly different. In addition, summons are summons, even if they are Spirit King level summons, they are idiots without intelligence. They need Yang Tian's constant command to make the most correct actions. At Yang Tian's command, the skeleton warriors of the Spirit King rushed out with their heads held high, and with a series of slashes with the broadsword in their hands, they could easily kill the giant virus and the Bad Blood Nurse instantly. Not only that, when it swings its sword, the blue spiritual fire around it is like a shock wave, sweeping wildly in all directions. Monsters touched by the blue spiritual fire will be destroyed instantly. This is obviously seismic passivity, but it manifests itself in another form. After gathering the spirit, it is no longer different from ordinary things. Even if the Soul King skeleton warrior is just a summoned object, it can also become larger or smaller. Yang Tian gave a slight command, and the body of the Spirit King skeleton warrior expanded rapidly and instantly turned into a giant 10 feet tall as a building. As it waved its sword and stamped its feet, the blue spiritual fire swept out from its body, causing great damage to the terrain. In the blink of an eye, this block was reduced to rubble, with thick smoke billowing up. This also eliminated a large number of huge viruses and bad blood nurses in this neighborhood, thus providing a large amount of experience points for Yang Tian Kelly. Of course, Yang Tian and Carrie formed a team, and because of the experience distribution method, Yang Tian only got 1% of the experience, and the rest was absorbed by Carrie. Suddenly, in the chaos, a doctor who was 2 meters tall, wearing a black coat, holding 2 scalpels, with scarlet eyes and a lifeless and ferocious face appeared. Dr. Death, King of the World. Level 135. HP, 120 million. Basic physical attack, 1 million. Dark attribute attack. Skill. Passive. Information introduction. Dr. Death lost his humanity due to virus mutation and became a monster. After gathering souls, Yang Tian seemed to reach the sky in one step, and he basically ignored the mere World King beast. At his command, the Soul King skeleton warrior flashed with white light, instantly retracted to a height of 2 meters, and rushed towards Dr. Death with a knife. Blow. The Soul King skeleton warrior slashed with his sword, causing a huge wound from Dr. Death's face to his abdomen. The black poisonous blood splashed out like a waterfall, drenching the Soul King skeleton warrior, poisoning him. His body turned black and green, and he lost blood rapidly. However, the life of the Soul King skeleton warriors is as high as billions, and the mere poisoning has little effect at all. On the other hand, Dr. Death, who withstood the Spirit King's blow and lost all his health in an instant, was simply vulnerable. Carrie, you go up and finish the kill, Yang Tian said, intending to give up the first kill. After all, he was no longer in a hurry to level up, and Carrie's current level 119 was the key moment for him to reach level 120. Thank you, brother. Carrie smiled excitedly, and hurriedly swung his heavy hammer to meet him, saying it was a last-minute hit, but it took him more than 10 consecutive blows to finally take away Dr. Death, who was still alive. This shows how huge the gap is between him and the Spirit King. After Carrie killed Dr. Death for the first time, the latter revealed a large amount of loot, so Yang Tian and others naturally had to clean up again. At this moment, Yang Tian received a message from the Water League. God's left hand led the Zeus army to attack the Water League. Yang Tian looked at the national server level list again and found that God's left hand had indeed risen to level 120. The time is just right. To be honest, if he doesn't gather souls, I really don't bother to kill him. Yang Tian smiled faintly, dispersed the undead souls, took back the Cretan snake, and teleported it back. Brother Shui. On the 35th island of the Sea of Ruins, God's left hand has arrived with people at this time, and the two armies are facing each other. As Yang Tian teleported over, the Water Alliance army suddenly raised their arms and shouted, "Brother Shui, you!" At the same time, Xiaofei, Huangmao Sword Emperor and others were quite complaining. They had been paying attention to the national server level list and knew that Yang Tian had reached level 120 soul gathering in one step before God's left hand. It was a great opportunity. Yang Tian did not take advantage of the opportunity to attack Zeus. Instead, God's left hand gathering soul led others to fight back. Of course, now that the war is about to begin, there is no point in complaining. Everyone is worried, whether Yang Tian, the same Soul King, can defeat the left hand of God. Don't worry, our army will win. Yang Tian smiled slightly, showing strong confidence. Brother Shui is not a random person. He certainly has his own reasons for doing this. From the side, Xiao Yaowu now boasted, making Huang Mao Xiaofei and others roll their eyes at him. Grandma, now that our Water Alliance is fighting, you are an outsider. Of course, you can stand and talk without pain. Yang Tian smiled and glanced at Xiaoyao, feeling quite pleased that he and Lan Yan Xieying stayed. Of course, Xiaoyao and the others did not join the Water Alliance, they just stayed to lend a helping hand. One reason was of course loyalty, and the other reason was that they had a deep grudge with Zeus. Muddy Waters, have you finished nagging? At this moment, the god opposite interrupted the chatter of Yang Tian and others with a cold snort from his left hand. He continued, you are so stupid. You gathered the souls first, but you didn't know how to seize the opportunity to attack me, Zeus. And now, you no chance again. Hearing this, Yang Tian stepped forward and said with a smile, it's not stupid, I just want to give you a chance. After all, you are too weak without the spirit gathering. Of course, even if you have gathered the spirit now, you are still not my opponent. Arrogant. God's left hand sneered and said, Muddy Water, now that the overall situation of the national server is gradually settled, we should also prepare for the world war between the foreign servers. Since you are so arrogant, do you dare to gamble? If you lose, your Water Alliance will submit to Zeus and work together for hegemony in the future. Hearing this, Xian Ji, Huang Mao, Xiaofei, Jian Huang and others were all stunned. The stakes are too high. Once they fail, they will never be able to turn over. They just wanted to persuade Yang Tian to think twice before acting, but Yang Tian laughed first and said, of course I dare, but if you lose, Zeus will also submit to the Water Alliance. The World War is the real stage of Taizhu. Before that, stability and unity in the national server are naturally crucial. Now there is such an opportunity, and Yang Tian is almost sure of winning, how can he not agree? Seeing Yang Tian agreed directly, Xian Ji, Huang Mao and the others did not say much. They all knew Yang Tian's character. If he was not absolutely sure, he would never be so reckless. Speaking of which, they were relieved when Yang Tian agreed. However, when God's left hand heard such a reasonable and fair bargaining chip, his expression was distorted and changed. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 377. A so-called bet is fair only when the stakes are equal. When God's left hand proposed it, God's right hand, Apple and others had no objection, but were very satisfied with the president's confidence. However, after Yang Tian agreed and proposed a considerable stake, God's left hand's face changed and he did not dare to agree immediately, which made them frown and feel quite embarrassed. Sure enough, he is afraid of losing, his heart is too fragile, even though he is gifted, he cannot bear the blow of failure, and he dare not even think about it. God's right-hand side secretly. The president has been smooth sailing all his life, and he probably has never considered the possibility of failure. It was only when he met a truly equal opponent that his shortcomings were revealed. Asshole. My Zeus is a legendary guild, and the Water Alliance is just a third-rate force. How dare you compare us? God's right hand scolded, saying, if we win, it is only natural for the Water Alliance to surrender, although it is unlikely. If you win by chance, do you have the qualifications to annex Zeus? The foreign forces are extremely powerful. Are your shoulders strong enough to withstand it? After God's right hand finished speaking, he blushed a little. He is also a face-saving person. But at this point, the president is afraid of failure, and his inner demons are growing, so he dare not fight. As the vice president, he can only give a step in this way to stabilize the president's mentality before he can fight. Hey, you're not a gambler, Xiaoyao was stunned and sneered in an exaggerated way, since you don't dare to bet, Why did you say such high-sounding words before? It's really shameful. Think about how glorious Zeus has a glorious history, and now it is in charge of you too. Those old guys above are really blind. You know shit. The president's talent and ability are unquestionable, and what does it matter if there are some shortcomings? God stared at Xiaoyao with his right hand and snorted coldly. Okay, stop talking nonsense, don't bet, are you still going to fight? Xiaoyao waved his hand and sneered. At this time, God's left hand gradually regained his composure, and he said coldly, the so-called winner is the king, and the loser is the enemy. Even if you don't surrender, you will definitely have no chance to turn over. Yang Tian's eyes condensed, and the other party said it in passing, and the bet was obviously invalid. The two armies stood opposite each other, with swords drawn and the atmosphere solemn. After about 3 seconds of silence, the battle suddenly started, and the two armies fought into a fight, flashing swords and shadows. As time passed, both sides were exhausted, and the core masters of each side also confronted each other. In mid-air, Yang Tian transformed into a netherworld assassin, put on a bone shield, and stood opposite God's left hand. Summon Skeleton Warrior. After Yang Tian counted down, he summoned a Spirit King Skeleton Warrior beside him and attacked God's left hand first. Huh? I didn't expect that after the Necromancer gathered spirits, he could actually summon the Spirit King summoned creature. God's left hand was stunned and shocked. He understood why Yang Tian was so confident and arrogant. Even if the player gathered spirits, its attributes were still far inferior to the NPC Spirit King and Spirit Beast. God's left hand knew that he was not the opponent of the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior, but why did he need to fight it? As long as he got rid of the muddy water, it would be disillusioned. Seeing the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior slashing with a knife, God's left hand moved his mind and instantly shrank to the size of a palm, making it miss. However, although the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior missed, the spiritual fire around him swept out like a shock wave, and the God's left hand was like being blown by a strong wind, and instantly lost millions of blood. God's left hand did not dare to neglect it, and quickly activated the purple fighting spirit, and at the same time activated the magic shadow clone to split into two, and both held swords and rushed towards Yang Tian. When rushing forward, God's left hand and his magic shadow clone returned to their original size. God's left hand has gathered spirits to become a Spirit King, so of course he can also change size freely. Seeing this, Yang Tian waved his big hand and summoned a bone wall to block in front, while his left and right hands fired bone spears and TP bone spears to sweep at the two gods' left hands respectively. God's left hand barely avoided it, but he didn't have time to command the magic shadow clone to dodge, causing the clone to be hit by the bone spear and instantly left with residual blood. Fighting spirit is really useful. Yang Tian was quite impressed when he saw that he failed to kill the magic shadow clone in one move. It should be noted that the full level fighting spirit not only has 8 times the damage, but also 8 times the damage reduction, which is very effective. Yang Tian was a member of the Dragon Empire, but the Dragon Empire had not yet been established. He had no military rank, and now he had gathered his spirits but still had no fighting spirit. The god's left hand had extremely high combat power. Together with the demon shadow clone, he quickly broke the bone wall and rushed towards Yang Tian again. However, there was an undercurrent wave around Yang Tian, which spread over a radius of 10 yards. After the god's left hand and the clone entered the range, they were instantly greatly slowed down. Yang Tian waved a dagger and rushed out, causing the god's left hand and the clone to parry repeatedly. The undercurrent moved with Yang Tian, and the god's left hand and the clone were trapped in it and could no longer escape. Their speed was greatly reduced, and they lost the initiative, and were attacked crazily by Yang Tian. But their attack speed did not decrease, and they parried frequently, causing the swords to flash in the air, and sparks to fly. The battle lasted for 1 minute. God's left hand is indeed the strongest player in the country. Under the dual pressure of Yang Tian and the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior, he still tried his best to hold on, but his phantom clone had been killed and fell into a long CD. This guy has no fighting spirit. Even if his combat power is equal to mine, his defense is not as good as mine. Under normal circumstances, he is not my opponent at all, but the undercurrent around him is too disgusting, which greatly reduced my movement speed and made me lose the initiative, and that Spirit King Skeleton Warrior is too terrifying. If this continues, am I really going to lose? God's left hand had a ferocious look on his face and sweat all over his forehead. As if feeling the pressure from the president, the right hand of God, who was struggling with Xiaoao, directly turned into wings and soared into the sky. Just in time. This guy's undercurrent is disgusting, and his melee advantage is too great. You can defeat him from a distance, the left hand of God shouted excitedly. The right hand of God is an archer. Hearing this, he opened the buff, and the phantoms of centaurs and Scorpios appeared behind him. They were the guardians of Sagittarius and Scorpio. Sagittarius Guardian, when the archer attacks normally, shoot one more arrow, which lasts for 1 minute. Scorpio Guardian, when attacking, add LV50 toxicity, which lasts for 1 minute. Swish. The right hand of God aimed at Yang Tian, drew the bow and shot continuously. His attack speed was extremely fast, and he shot 2 arrows each time, instantly causing a series of attacks. Yang Tian was able to dodge some, but was also hit by some. However, the result was beyond the expectations of God's left hand and God's right hand. God's right hand's combat power was indeed very high, but Yang Tian's bone shield was too tough, and his attack could only slightly damage Yang Tian's bone shield. In addition, Yang Tian carried the orb of the Poison Lizard King, which was enough to be immune to the poison brought by God's right hand due to the protection of Scorpio. In other words, after God's right hand attacked for a long time, Yang Tian didn't lose a drop of blood at all. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 378. Shadow Attack. Yang Tian slashed with his sword. God's left hand quickly parried, but Yang Tian's figure flashed out, pulling out a series of afterimages, and came behind God's right hand in the blink of an eye. Sap. Backstab. Yang Tian used a set of combos to instantly take away God's right hand, and at the same time swept towards God's left hand again. At this time, God's left hand was already in a defensive position, ready to deal with Yang Tian's offensive at any time. Seeing this, Yang Tian laughed sinisterly and used Undead Transfer to swap his positions with the Soul King's Skeleton Warrior. Blow. The Spirit King's Skeleton Warrior suddenly appeared in front of God's left hand and slashed it with his sword. God's left hand was shocked and struck with all his strength. There was a swipe sound, and a hideous wound opened on the chest of God's left hand, and he fell to the ground and died. God's left hand was obviously killed in the battle, but Yang Tian didn't receive the killing message, so he couldn't help but be startled. Does he have passive resurrection skills? Yang Tian's mind flashed, and after counting the seconds, he summoned the spiritual beast self-destructing spider. The spirit beast self-explosion spider is about the size of a water tank. After being summoned, it floats in the air, its body is completely black, and its surface is covered with a layer of rich black air, showing surging energy. Spirit-level undead conflict with each other, and each can exist for up to 5 minutes, with a 1-minute cooldown, and only one can be summoned and exist at the same time. So when Yang Tian summoned the spiritual beast self-exploding spider, the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior automatically disappeared. After God's left hand died in battle, his body fell to the ground. With a thought in Yang Tian's mind, he ordered the spirit beast self-destruction spider to chase the corpse. 5 seconds later, God's left hand came to life due to the special effects of the Capricorn Guardian title, but it was instantly caught by the spirit beast self-destruction spider and exploded. Bang! With the sound of explosion, black smoke billowing from 100 yards radius was seen, and Yang Tian received dozens of kill messages at once. It can be seen that the self-exploding spider of the spiritual beast directly killed dozens of people in Zeus, including of course God's left hand. After Capricorn was passively resurrected, he only had 50% of his life mana. It was impossible for him to withstand being exploded by a spiritual beast in his face. The president died. How is this possible? Muddy Waters singled out the president and vice president, a double kill, so awesome. Tisk, 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 the necromancer profession is so amazing. It is rubbish in the early stage, but explodes in the later stage. I never thought that after the necromancer gathers souls, he can summon spiritual beasts to assist in combat. This is simply the strongest profession. Hey, I think I chose the necromancer at the beginning because it was too difficult to practice and gave up. If I had persevered at that time, I would be a first-class strong man now. Don't worry, you have blood, can you gather spirits? God's left hand and God's right hand both died in battle, which shocked everyone in Zeus, and at the same time, their hearts became cold. The president and vice president are Zeus's strongest combat power. If they die in battle, Zeus can be said to have been half defeated. The battle continues. The Water Alliance army took advantage of the situation to pursue them, but Yang Tian did not hold back, summoning the dark fire domain. A beam of black flames was seen spreading out from his body, covering the sky and the earth, covering hundreds of yards in radius. All members of Zeus, including those who turned on the wings of fighting spirit, were trapped inside and suffered burns every second. 42,900. 42,900. 42,900. At the same time, Yang Tian bundled the powerful undead summoning skills of the Black Knight, Nether Assassin, Vampire Count, and Hell's three-headed dog together, and then used Extreme Summon to summon them all at once. Nowadays, the Black Knights and their ilk are already level 120 king beasts. After further enhancing Yang Tian attributes, their combat power is extremely powerful and they can kill people in seconds. As time passed, Zeus's army was almost wiped out. While cleaning the battlefield, Yang Tian found Xiaojin's soul ball. Is this exploded by God's left hand? So that's it, last time God killed Xiaojin with his left hand, Xiaojin's soul was not lost, but was preserved in the form of a soul ball after Yang Tian suddenly realized, he reached out to pick it up, but can't pick it up. Pets, servants, and soul fragments all occupy the pet slot. But now, Yang Tian's pet pen is full. Yang Tian smiled awkwardly and sent Qian Yuan Longer to save Xiaojin's soul ball on his behalf. I have the skeleton creation technique and can resurrect Xiaojin at any time. However, my pet slot is full. I cannot open the 8th pet slot until I go to the Beast King Valley to challenge and defeat the spirit level Beast King. There is no rush at this time, Yang Tian thought to himself. After a while, everyone in the Water Alliance cleaned up the battlefield, and the trophies they obtained were all equipment and gem materials dropped by Zeus masters. It can be said that they have gained a lot. The Sword Emperor, Ao Shifanshan, and others walked over quickly and said excitedly, Brother Shui, without further ado, we are going to attack the island where Zeus is, drive them out of the country's top force, and let us, the Water Alliance, take their place. Nowadays, the division of power in the national server is very subtle, whoever occupies the frontmost island in the Sea of Ruins will be the strongest. Although absurd, it also makes sense. After all, the islands closer to the front have better resources, and the forces that occupy the best resources are undoubtedly the strongest, and there is nothing wrong with this. Hearing this, Yang Tian, Huang Mao Suanj and others all frowned. This Sword Emperor's ambition was so obvious that it made people speechless. But taking the opportunity to drive Zeus off the altar and replace him with the Water Alliance is indeed an urgent matter. Okay, let's go, Yang Tian waved his hand and led the army out. Afterwards, the Water League and Zeus had another bloody battle, this time Zeus was at home. During the war, members of Zeus died, degraded, but they could be resurrected and fight again at any time, which gave them a huge advantage. However, the Water Alliance was not easy to mess with, especially Yang Tian, who was comparable to thousands of troops, and the fierce battle was in full swing. A war lasted for a week before it ended. The Water Alliance replaced Zeus, occupied the most front island of the Sea of Ruins, and became the first force in the national server. This incident has become widely known after the wanton propaganda of the Internet Water Army. Yang Tian, Huang Maoxiange and others and the Water Alliance have become more famous, and sometimes they can receive real-life brand endorsements, comparable to celebrities. This week's continuous war was extremely tragic. Members of both the Water Alliance and Zeus died many times and lost levels crazily. Of course, Zeus suffered even more serious losses. If it were not for the home court, they would have been defeated long ago under the sweep of Yang Tian's undead army. It was precisely because of the home advantage that they died and lost levels, and resurrected crazily to fight again. In the end, they still failed, so that they suffered heavy losses, and the average level of all members dropped by more than 5 levels. God's left hand was unwilling to fail, so he was killed by Yang Tian more than 20 times. However, God's left hand has gathered spirits, and the lower limit of his level is 120, so no matter how he dies, his level is still 120 Spirit King. Water Alliance dominated the national server. Yang Tian realized his first step, and when he was in a good mood, he gave his men 3 days off to celebrate freely. 3 days later, everything returned to normal. Yang Tian took Carrie, Xianyuan, Long and Alice to the high-level island to level up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 379. A few days later, Carrie reached level 120, gathering spirits. It is worth mentioning that Spirit Kings and above do not have world titles. In other words, there is no such thing as World Spirit Kings or World Fairy Kings. Carrie is also equivalent to ordinary Spirit Kings and has no extra advantages. Afterwards, Yang Tian went to the Shinwu Empire and entered the Beast King Valley to challenge the Beast King. A flash of white light, Yang Tian came to a forest, surrounded by green grass and a wide view, and in the distance there were groups of trees. The Beast King Valley only has such a map, and there is only the Beast King in it. Yang Tian looked up and saw a giant bear standing in the shape of a human. It was about 2 meters tall, and its thick and wild brown hair was cocky. It was said that the Beast King had the genes of the mythical beast Earth Bear, and it seemed to be true. The Beast King was one-eyed and more majestic. Beast King, Spiritual Beast. Level 120. HP, 9.8 billion. Basic physical attack, 6.5 million. Skills, War Cry, Savage Charge, Mount Tai, Claws, Earth Shield, Earth Guardian. Passive, Earthquake, Flying, Enlargement and Reduction, Deep Sea Breathing. I didn't expect that the first person to challenge me was a tiny human. The Beast King spoke in human language, his only remaining eye narrowed slightly, full of teasing. Tiny human? I'll let you know how powerful I am. Yang Tian laughed, sent out Carrie, and summoned the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior, and ordered the two to attack the Beast King together. The battle was about to break out. The battle between them often caused earthquakes, causing damage to the surface and billowing smoke and dust. The Beast King was obviously no match for the joint attack of the two Spirit Kings, and his blood was rapidly lost. So you have helpers, you're looking for death. As the map boss, the Beast King certainly knew that Yang Tian was the challenger. As a spirit beast, it had high intelligence. It immediately turned around and shook off Carrie and the Spirit King Skeleton Warriors, and ran towards Yang Tian. Then it jumped up, its body expanded, and instantly turned into a giant of 10 feet in the air, covering the sky and the sun, pressing down on the ant like Yang Tian below. This was the Beast King's Taishan pressure, with a combat power of over 100 million and a very large range. Yang Tian's small body couldn't bear it at all, and couldn't hide. This TM, without the 5 elements shield, Yang Tian's eyes were dark, and he felt pressure in his head, and his heart trembled. Since he upgraded to level 120 to gather spirits and changed into a set of level 120 gold equipment, he has thrown all the 5 elements suits into the warehouse as a souvenir. After all, the 5 elements suit is a level 80 royal suit, and now it can't keep up with the rhythm in terms of attributes. In fact, the set effect of the 5 element suit, the 5-shaped shield, is very useful, especially since he has the 5 original powers of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth in his body. It is even more useful. However, changing clothes requires speed, and it is best to change clothes within 1 second at a critical moment. If only 1 or 2 pieces of equipment are changed, Yang Tian can certainly do it in seconds, but if a set of equipment is changed, it will take at least 3-4 seconds. In other words, he has now lost such a powerful life-saving trump card as the 5-element shield. In the crisis, Yang Tian barely opened the bone shield and the golden bull Tiangang. Immediately, the Beast King smashed down, causing the surface to crack, the rocks to explode, and the smoke and dust to roll. When the Beast King stood up, the smoke and dust dissipated, but Yang Tian survived. The Golden Bull Tiangang is a LV1 hegemony, with 10 times damage reduction, so even if the Beast King's Taishan pressure is over 100 million, the power of hitting Yang Tian is only 1/10. Now, even Yang Tian's bone shield is only half broken. Yang Tian still did not dare to neglect, and quickly used the Undead transfer to exchange positions with the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior. The Beast King glanced between Yang Tian and the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior, decisively abandoned the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior, and continued to run towards Yang Tian. Summon the Little Devil. Yang Tian quickly summoned the Little Devil, possessed the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior, and ordered it to hit the Devil Sucker. In an instant, the Beast King's eyes were scarlet, and he turned his head and rushed towards the fusion of the Spirit King Skeleton Warrior and the Little Devil. The two sides fought again, and in the fierce battle, Carrie also rushed over to help. At this point, Yang Tian was completely safe, using the two as shields, and he hid behind and output in a wretched manner. A few minutes later, the Beast King was covered with wounds, fell down with a bang, and turned into a corpse. Yang Tian smiled slightly, secretly thinking that he was really powerful. You know, if an ordinary Spirit King player challenges a Spirit-level Beast King, it is extremely difficult to win. Yang Tian is different. In addition to his own strength, he can also summon an extra Spirit-level Undead to assist in combat. As a Spirit King, the advantage of the Necromancer is too huge. This is why Yang Tian, who was a God-level assassin in his previous life, still chose the Necromancer in this life. Because the Necromancer is really one of the strongest professions in the later period, especially he is the advanced hidden profession of the Necromancer, the Necromancer Master. System: congratulations on defeating the Beast King, reward pet column add 1. System: you killed the Beast King, spiritual beast, for the first time, and got an extra reward, the Beast King gift *1. As the system prompt sounded in his ears, Yang Tian was slightly startled. The Beast King Valley is a special dungeon map, there is no experience or loot in it. Yang Tian is not surprised by this, but he did not expect that there would be an extra reward for killing the Beast King for the first time. The reason is simple. Although Yang Tian was a top player in his previous life, he was far from the invincible sweeping point now. In his previous life, he actually missed many first kills. So he is not very familiar with various first kill rewards. Gift from the Beast King? What is that? Yang Tian opened his inventory and sure enough, there was a red thing that looked like an eyeball. Yang Tian took it out and held it in his hand. It was the size of an apple. Yang Tian guessed that it was empty because he could not feel any weight when holding it in his hand. Beast King's gift, special prop, unique special effect, add 2 pet slots, put it in the item slot to take effect. Remarks, this is the best gift for pet lovers. This, 1 more pet slot for defeating the Beast King, 2 more pet slots for this thing, doesn't it mean that I now have 10 pet slots? Yang Tian swallowed his saliva and quickly opened the pet slot to see that there were indeed 10 pet slots, and he could not help but feel ecstatic. In addition to Xianyuan Long Alice, Dwarf King Carrie, Dr. Edith's residual soul 3/4, pets Tang Snake and Thunder Leopard, and the Snow Wolf King Ziobai who was blacked out because he stayed in reality, there are still 3 empty slots. This is comfortable. I didn't expect there would be an extra gain. Yang Tian smiled slightly. He is not a pet lover. He is not a trainer or hunter. Even if he has more battle pets, he can only send 1 to participate in the battle. And now among his war pets, only Tangxi can barely make it to the stage. He prefers to subdue those powerful NPC war servants when he has extra pet slots, because no matter how many NPC war servants there are, they can all be sent to participate in the war. After leaving the Beast King Valley, Yang Tian came to the original city of the Xinwu Empire, Ping'an City. He set up a stall on the spot and bought an unlimited amount of inferior bones and rough bones. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 380. For the sake of efficiency, Yang Tian sent Carrie, Xianyuan Longer, and Alice, gave them some coins, and the 4 of them went to the 4 blocks in the southeast, northwest, and northeast to set up stalls to buy bones. Taigzu has been in operation for a year and a half, and it is still in full swing, attracting many new players to come and adventure. As the initial city of the Xinwu Empire, Ping'an City is naturally bustling with people. Of course, those players are not all newcomers. Some of them are old birds who are not satisfied with their original careers and delete their accounts to start over. And the crowd watching Yang Tian and others couldn't help but marvel and sigh at the vastness of the world. Half a day later, Yang Tian and others finally completed the purchase. Not long after, Yang Tian successfully resurrected Xiaojin, and Xiaojin was still the Thunder Skeleton King, a level 1 Emperor Beast. Wow, my god, is this how all the masters play? Directly create the Royal Beast Skeleton Servant. So cool, Master, I want to be your apprentice. From now on, I dare not go west when you say east, and I dare not chase chickens when you say hit dogs. Brother, is your skeleton servant convenient to sell? Money is not a problem. Yang Tian resurrected Xiaojin, and at that moment attracted the worship of countless new players around him. Some were amazed, some asked to be his apprentice, and many rich second-generation players pulled Yang Tian to buy him. Yang Tian couldn't stand it, so he immediately took back the servants and used the teleportation array to escape. With a flash of white light, he came to the Sea Alliance of the Ruins to occupy the island again, and left Xiaojin, Xianyuan Long and Alice, and asked them to level up with Huang Mao and others. He took Carrie to the World Forest of the Xinwu Empire. System, you have discovered the World Forest. As the system prompt sounded in his ears, Yang Tian and Carrie came to a huge forest with lush vegetation around them, and there was no end in sight. When Yang Tian looked up, he could see the towering World God Tree. Although this forest is called the World Forest, it is not actually a world map, but a map of the Chinese war zone above level 150. That's right, this map is not within the scope of the 4 empires. It is said that each war zone has a world god tree, and the god tree is towering into the clouds. Some people speculate that the god tree communicates the god realm and the mortal realm, that is, if you climb to the top of the god tree, you can enter the god realm. Of course, it is just some people's speculation and rumors. Anyway, Yang Tian played for 5 years in his previous life and could not enter the so-called God realm. Taigzu level 150 is another hurdle. The weakest monsters and NPCs above it are all Lord level. There are many half-human and half-beast monsters living in the world forest, such as tiger monsters, wolf monsters, fox monsters, etc. Back then, when Yang Tian was level 51, in order to obtain the heart of the sacred tree, he had to help the sacred tree defeat the level 200 tiger demon lord who kept destroying and cutting it. For this, Yang Tian stayed in the hospital for 10 days and 10 nights to inject nutrient solution. Such a crazy thing, Yang Tian now misses it when he thinks back. Cough. Just as Yang Tian was thinking, Carrie suddenly coughed and interrupted him. Yang Tian looked up and found a group of fox demons surrounding him. The fox demons all have human female bodies, each with a graceful figure, unparalleled beauty, and furry ears and tails. They are thinly dressed, only covering the key parts, thus revealing a white patch. In addition, they also have a stream of coquettish and charming body aura, and after a series of coquettish poses, they are simply fascinating and forgetful. Fox Demon, Lord. Level 152. HP, 35 million. Basic magic attack, 550,000. Non-attribute attack. Skills, Charm, Claw, Bite, Windblade, Gallop, Storm. Passive, Earthquake. Handsome guy, come and play. The fox demons looked at Yang Tian Kelly, without showing hostility, but instead stroked themselves and let out waves of laughter. Sometimes, they would throw kisses and winks at Yang Tian Kelly, and at that moment, the kisses or winks formed a solid peach heart and floated towards Yang Tian Kelly. That was a charm skill. If you were hit, you would fall into a state of confusion, become insane, and be unable to control yourself. What's more terrifying is that charm, that is, those peach hearts that floated out have tracking characteristics, and you can't avoid them just because you want to. Carrie, I'm sorry. Yang Tian took 2 steps back, laughed sinisterly, and decisively summoned the little demon to merge with Carrie. The demon sucker was activated, causing the fox demons on the opposite side to instantly have red eyes and stare at Carrie. And all those charm hearts also hit Carrie with a bang bang bang. Charm did not cause any damage, Carrie did not lose a drop of blood, but fell into a state of confusion. He roared, his eyes were red, and his face was ferocious. Immediately, he swung his huge war hammer and ran and chopped wildly. Seeing Carrie moving forward, Yang Tian secretly breathed a sigh of relief. You know, chaos will cause hatred to collapse, and will attack any target including friendly forces at will. In other words, chaotic Carrie may also attack Yang Tian himself. With Carrie's strength, how can Yang Tian resist? Fortunately, Carrie rushed forward, and he naturally breathed a sigh of relief. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Savage collision. Heavy attack. Continuous slash. I saw chaotic Carrie rushing towards the group of fox demons and began to attack randomly. Because of their high combat power, most of the fox demons died instantly under his war hammer. The remaining fox demons occasionally counterattacked and continued to charm, but they were all killed after a while, and a pile of equipment, coins and materials exploded. The state of confusion usually lasts 3-5 seconds. The fox demons continued to charm Carrie, causing him to annihilate them all, but the state of chaos has not yet been resolved. Carrie was seen carrying Bart's hammer, stepping on the corpse of the fox demon, running around non-stop. He roared wildly, and sometimes swung the hammer to hit the air, causing a dull roar. Suddenly, Carrie turned his head suddenly, his red, irrational eyes locked on Yang Tian behind him, making Yang Tian gasp. Kill! Carrie roared, swung the hammer, and crushed towards Yang Tian with a murderous aura. You are not. Yang Tian was shocked. With Carrie's combat power, if he used skills, he would probably be killed instantly. Bone wall. Yang Tian retreated while chanting, erecting a solid bone wall between the two. Bang. Carrie rushed forward and smashed the bone wall with a hammer. Fortunately, it was just an ordinary attack and did not break the bone wall with one blow. But Carrie's attack speed was extremely fast. In less than a second, Carrie angrily hammered the bone wall countless times, smashing the bone wall to pieces, and then swept through the mess and ran towards Yang Tian. Ghost Hand. Yang Tian predicted Carrie's movement and snapped his fingers. The ground 3 yards in front of Carrie cracked and a dark arm stretched out. At the same time, Carrie took a step forward and was caught by the ghost hand, causing Carrie to fall to the ground due to inertia. Carrie stood up instantly, but the ghost hand was still there, so that even if he ran at full speed, he would only stand still and could not move at all. In this way, Yang Tian used the ghost hand to restrict Carrie's movements, so that he could exit the chaos and return to normal.